Mumbai. As one of the world's most populous cities awakens, its limited resources are bracing for an onslaught. Today, the city will supply more than 3 billion litres of water to its citizens, who will in turn generate about 7,500 tons of waste. Its public transport will move 10 million people with just 3,500 buses and 200 trains at hand. The city is struggling to get its workforce in time to run India's financial capital. In the face of strained infrastructure and swelling population, Mumbai has to constantly find innovative solutions. And it has found one in an integrated township called Hiranandani Gardens, Powai. The mega cities of the world show signs of order, structure, and planning. But Mumbai is the poster child of a more organic form of development that experts think may be reaching its limits.
Contrary to popular belief, Mumbai is not a maximum city. People say it's a maximum city, but I think that is a very finite statement. There's no scope for growth. I call it the ultimate settlement.
This ultimate settlement is bracing for a new mass of people.
Almost 70% of India still lives in its villages, but that is going to dramatically change in the next 3 to 4 decades, where we will have almost 600 million people moving into our cities, making us a macro-urban nation.
As Mumbai becomes one of the most populous cities in the world, with the current resources as they are, the pressure on Mumbai is unimaginable.
Mumbai really faces the pressure of the number of people per square foot or per capita if you look at the space available to the city.
By 2050, India will add 2 times the population of the United States of America to its cities.
This is, probably at the height of crisis. It's very hard to make sense of how the city of Mumbai is working with the extent of resource crunch that it is in right now.
To tackle the resource crunch, Mumbai has slowly reinvented itself. Over the decades, the city has invested in bridges, roads, and other infrastructure. But it needed a new way of looking at the housing needs of the constantly changing demographic of the city. As the population of the city moved to the suburbs, a new opportunity arose.
In the late 90s, the Indian middle class became very vocal about their needs. You could see that they were looking for that quality of life, even in the way they lived every day. And as a direct reaction to this, you'd see the private sector start to develop around that time, and maybe a little before, integrated township that were in some ways oases within the city that would kind of provide some of those basic issues that were not available in the larger metropolitan region. And some of them succeeded, some of them not so much.
Building integrated townships from scratch was one of the solutions. And one such township lies 32 kilometers from the city in the suburb of Powai. The 4,000 families that live here wake up to fresh air, abundant spaces, and the chirping of birds. This self-contained community boasts its own schools, a 240-bed hospital, a business district, and all the amenities required for a good quality of life. All within a 1-kilometer radius. This is a luxury that the rest of Mumbai's 18 million people rarely experience. Integrated townships like this are trying to tackle some of the infrastructural needs that the city is unable to provide.
So we need a good implementation program which will take the city from a bad infrastructure to a great infrastructure.
Niranjan Hiranandani is the older of the Hiranandani brothers, who saw an opportunity in the mid-1980s for an integrated township.
Well, first of all, you have to understand what does a human being need. He needs a good, comfortable house. He needs an area for his children to play or for him to have recreation. He needs education. He needs a hospital. All this can be provided in this great city.
While Niranjan was the business brain, his younger brother was the engineering mind of the project.
The value of a city is enormous. You know, civilization has progressed because of the intellectual thought which comes with so many people getting together.
For Surendra, the integrated township was a way to reintroduce the concept of true community living.
When we were in the 60s and till early 70s, Mumbai was a dynamo, and in the Asian context at least. It had some great charm, great appeal, and that's how you got this flood of migrants coming into the city from between the 70s and the 90s. I mean, there must be a reason why people come here.
When I was young, in the 50s and 60s, the infrastructure of Mumbai was great, and we led very, very comfortable lives. Going to school, which was 5 kilometers away, was no problem at all. Today, that would be extremely difficult to travel because of the traffic and congestion.
One of the major stumbling blocks to infrastructure development in Indian cities is attributed to the 1976 Urban Land Ceiling Act.
The government just kept harping along with activists that the city should be decongested. They didn't permit development in the city from the 70s to the 90s. You were actually encouraged to shut down offices and go out into the countryside, as if that is the way development should take place. But now people have realized that congestion is what is sustainable.
But managing congestion in a city like Mumbai has its own challenges because of its topography. Mumbai was founded at the tip of an island facing the Arabian Sea and grew organically northwards through a series of reclamations. Unlike other mega cities of the world, Mumbai does not have a city centre. Constrained by the Arabian Sea, it tapers down like a funnel. 40% of Mumbai's land has been reclaimed from the sea, and that too had reached its limits. The first step towards building an integrated township was to find a plot of land where the Hiranandanis could start from scratch. But land was scarce, even in the 1980s.
The first time I looked at the property, my ideas were utopian. You know, it will be a fairy tale land in the sense that it would be beautiful. And that was an aim, and we really wanted something large enough. We couldn't afford anything which were closer to the city.
After years of searching for the right piece of land, the Hiranandani brothers found a plot along the shores of a peaceful lake called Powai.
When I first got here, it seemed very daunting. It looked impossible because you just couldn't even get into the land. It was barren but denuded and quarried. It was, a very tough landscape. And anyone would wonder, why should anyone live here?
This was quarry land somewhere on the corner of Powai, which I don't think anybody really noticed. If you ask anybody 30 years ago, they don't remember this part of Powai.
The brothers bought 250 acres for their dream project, but they were taking a huge risk by buying abandoned quarry land in a remote part of the city.
I didn't tell anybody. I actually lied. I told them I bought 25 acres and 30 acres and stuff like that. I think a lot of my professional colleagues and professionals who advise us thought I was mad.